So I'm Rima Mohammad. I am the uncommitted delegate for Michigan Congressional District 6.
Wonderful. And how is it that you became an uncommitted delegate for Michigan District 6?
So first of all, it's an honor. I'm so privileged to be able to serve as an uncommitted delegate. I have been very involved with the Muslim and Arab community in District 6, primarily in Ann Arbor, as well as the Ypsilanti area, so the surrounding areas. I'm also an elected, on the Ann Arbor Public School Board, but I'm also Palestinian who has, grandparents that have survived the Nakba of 1948. So it was personal, but at the same time, I was already very involved with a lot of activities surrounding Gaza. And, Layla Labid reached out to me one day, as Listen to Michigan, the initial stages were starting, and really wanted me to get involved. So that's how we got to a point where we got uncommitted delegates. I was amazed to see an uncommitted delegate being elected for Congressional District 6, because it is not Dearborn. It is Ann Arbor. It is the surrounding areas. And the community really wanted me to step up, and I'm here now.
That's wonderful. So what has it been like for you so far during this convention as an uncommitted delegate?
It's been surreal. I have a mix of emotions from, being very optimistic, being excited when, hearing that we have that panel of amazing speakers that happened on Monday. That was historic, especially at the DNC. Being able to be present on the floor as an uncommitted delegate, being able to use that leverage, especially if you think about Michigan specifically. I know there's a lot of focus on Michigan right now. We have 2 delegates, but we represent 101,000 uncommitted voters. And so, that gives me a lot of hope. But there has been moments of, grief, of disappointment, feeling isolated, especially with some of the members of the party. Walking into a room, especially at a place like Michigan, where you would think that there would be a lot more support when it comes to my other fellow delegates, and walking in the room and being one of 2 people. This other person is Abbas, wearing a keffiyeh. I would have expected more, would at least do that in solidarity with the movement. So it's been an up and down journey.
For sure, yeah. I've heard talk about ceasefire delegates, and I was wondering if you could describe to our readers what those are, because I understand that there were a certain number of uncommitted delegates who have come to the convention and are now in the process of actively organizing around this issue. And Layla Abed yesterday said that it was actually a very easy thing, all things considered, and so I was wondering if you could take our readers through A, what a ceasefire delegate is, and then B, a little bit of the organizing that you're engaging in here.
Yeah, so a ceasefire delegate is really a Harris delegate that is supportive of the ceasefire movement and what the uncommitted movement is all about. The organizing around it has been, reaching out and having these conversations, which is a crucial part of the movement, is having that open dialogue with people. A lot of people are not aware, or they don't know, what was the uncommitted movement all about. So allowing that space to have that dialogue with other delegates, with Harris delegates, and them being supportive of the cause. And, they would sign on to a petition supporting the cause and, agreeing to serve as a ceasefire delegate. There has been a lot of organizing again, but a lot of it has been more of just, having the courage to just go up and say, listen, let's talk about the uncommitted movement. What has happened is, and I feel that the party needs to have more of this open dialogue. I think we're going to get there, but we need to, it's almost like there's an elephant in the room and no one wants to address it. No one wants to say anything. They kind of want everything to look polished. And we're breaking those barriers by going straight to the delegates and having these open conversations.
So what is the purpose of this petition that you're talking about exactly? What will you plan to do with it?
So we're hoping to share that with the DNC and with Vice President Harris to see, you know, out of all these delegates, this is how many that are ceasefire delegates and signed on to this petition. Hopefully to show that, again, I mean, there's already data out there saying the majority of the Democratic Party supports a ceasefire, is empathetic, you know, sympathetic for the Palestinian people, for the people in Gaza. So it's really to send a message. It's like, even within your delegates, this is how many are willing to sign on this pledge to serve as ceasefire delegates. And I think that that is a very impactful statement, because a lot of, unfortunately, the messaging that I've been hearing with some people in the party is, oh, there's only like 30 of you. And it's like, here in the DNC. And it's like, but we're pretty powerful, 30. I mean, if you think about, it's not in all states. We didn't have that option in all states. And, you know, we were able to get almost, it was about 750,000 uncommitted voters. So, you know, but again, they're not seeing that. They're seeing the numbers compared to all the delegates in the room. So we're hoping to send that same message in a different way.
Can I ask how many people have signed on to become ceasefire delegates so far?
I don't have the latest number. From what I heard, it's definitely, you know, over 250. So, and it was interesting, the first night, like within the first day, I think overnight, I was surprised, like 30 people signed on right away, just within the first night of organizing this. So, you know, we're hoping to get a goal of 500. I believe we will get to that goal and probably more, because I think people in general are open to hear about, you know, and understand what the uncommitted delegate or the uncommitted movement is.
Do you think this is going to work?
So, you know, I always try to be hopeful. I try to be optimistic, but it's been hard, especially being Palestinian and seeing this cycle, you know, of pain and grief and war over and over again. I'm hopeful that, you know, what feels different this time is that there are more people that are sympathetic and that feel for the people, the Palestinian people. So that wasn't there previously. So that gives me a lot of hope, and seeing that people were willing, you know, delegates are willing to sign as ceasefire delegates, and feeling proud of that. And then also, anytime ceasefire was mentioned on the floor, you know, in the convention, there was like a huge applause of support for that. So I'm more hopeful than probably previous years. So yes, I do believe that this movement is having a big impact. You're seeing it, especially in the tone of what Vice President Harris is now saying, even President Biden on Monday. So I am seeing that change.
So we first had the ceasefire movement, we have the uncommitted movement. Now I am hearing about not another bomb. I am hearing about people starting to say that, you know, of course everybody wants a ceasefire, of course everybody hates war, but what about the weapons? Like, how is it that the United States can actually make that happen? And so I was wondering if you could tell our readers a little bit more about the Not Another Bomb campaign and how that's connected to the work that you're doing here at the convention.
So, if you think about it, I mean, there has been ceasefire negotiations for months now. And if you look at the past, I mean, this did not this is not a new thing. I mean, this has been ongoing since 1948. I've seen ceasefires come and go, and even with a ceasefire, there have been people, Palestinian people killed and held captive. So there is really no peace. It wasn't really a true resolution. So with that, looking at how, the best approach to a true lasting ceasefire is to really push for an arms embargo, because if you don't send the weapons, to kill people, you can ensure that there would be a lasting peace. So I believe that's the true solution for this, especially if people truly want peace, between between the Israeli and Palestinian people, to coexist, to start talking about solutions. You can't talk about solutions for the Israeli and Palestinian people when the U.S. is funding weapons to Israel that they can use and have been using to kill Palestinian civilians. So that is where the Not Another Bomb has another movement. It's all in the same goals, but it's really focused on trying to work on the arms embargo.
Yeah, so as I had indicated, I'd worked with the Jamal Bowman campaign in New York, which was not successful. And in that, there was a lot of discussion about AIPAC money and MAGA right money. And so I'm wondering, with the Not Another Bomb campaign, what kind of money do you think you're going to run into with that? Because, as I understand it, the arms industry is one of the more booming industries in this country. So do you think it'll be more of the same, or do you anticipate having to deal with different contenders domestically around that?
So I'm not part of that campaign, but I do know that, yes, there's always going to be special interest groups, like, of course, the industry around this, as well as AIPAC and other special interest groups and PACs. But I do believe that this is a little bit, right now at this moment, especially running a campaign like that is very effective, because what's happening in Gaza is still happening, and it is devastating. Their homes are being leveled. There is no aid that's coming in to help them. And it's all related to the bombs and the weapons that are being used to hurt these people. So maybe if it was a different time, that maybe there's nothing, if in a time where there's not this catastrophe that's happening in Gaza, maybe there would be more pressure, but I just can't, it would not look good for these special interest groups to get involved in trying to interfere in this campaign while there's thousands and thousands of innocent civilians that are dying in the hands of these bombs. So I'm not too concerned. Of course, they're going to try to get interfere, of course.
Is there anything else that you would like to say to our readers?
Yeah, so I did want to stress too is, as a Palestinian, this issue is not just about the impact of what's happening in Gaza. Stress as well is that and I'm going to say, this genocide that's happening in Gaza, as this is ongoing, it is affecting us here locally. And people lose sight of that, especially if you don't have an association with the country that is being impacted. But, the amount of racism, the amount of targeting, I was running for a Michigan State Representative seat, in Michigan recently, and I know it's because I was Palestinian that I was targeted. My job was targeted. My kids were targeted, and so it's built this level of hate especially normalizing the hate against Palestinian people, against Arabs, and against Muslims. So that's one thing that is very important to also understand, that this is impacting our lives here, but also the funds. I mean, I'm a healthcare worker too, and I see that when I see millions and billions of dollars being sent to kill people, to kill these Palestinians, and our healthcare system is failing us. Our public schools need more funding. I'm a trustee. I mean, I'm seeing them like, why can't we use these millions and billions of dollars to help support our public schools? So that's what I say to people when I talk to them as well, because sometimes you don't make that connection if you're not personally being impacted, but we are all being impacted by this.